I'm a massive fan of the iconic action movies of the 1980s. I feel that some can be overrated and others underrated and underseen. But some of these movies get a lot of love and praise and truly do deserve it. And I think the movie that is most worthy of the praise is 1987's Noir Lethal Weapon.
Are you really crazy? Or are you as good as you say you are? Bingo.
But before we get into it, this is a different type of video, but if you do like the channel, maybe consider subscribing or supporting me over on Patreon. So, this isn't going to be some deep dive retrospective where I go scene by scene on Lethal Weapon. And to be honest, I kind of had to make this video, because I've watched Lethal Weapon a lot of times. But last night, I watched it with new eyes and realized that it was much more than I ever thought it was. And after watching it that way, this movie beats Aliens, it beats Terminator 2. And although I'm a massive fan of Die Hard, it probably also beats that too. Just in terms of aesthetic, tone, writing. So there's just so much to talk about with this movie, and some people might not want to watch this video, and that's totally fine, but you're missing out on one of literally the best movies ever made. And I'm serious about that. I don't think that there's a better movie than Lethal Weapon in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, up to right now. Especially right now in this day and age when quality is just non-existent. And I've talked enough about that stuff in other videos, so go watch them if you want to. But this video is going to be about something that you should watch if you haven't already. Now, many people probably look at Lethal Weapon as just your generic buddy cop movie that came after 48 Hours and other earlier ones. But in my opinion, Lethal Weapon beats every single one of them, and I've only kind of realized it now. I absolutely adore cop movies and detective movies, basically because they take from hard-boiled novels of the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And it's just proven that the best cop and detective movies usually have a root in noir or hard-boiled. And if you don't know what the genre of hard-boiled is, basically condensed down in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, 70s, there were novels and movies made, starring all different types of characters. That could be a detective, a hitman, a cop, a vigilante, but they all kind of had their roots in these pulpy, dark worlds, similar to movies like Sin City, Dirty Harry, and Lethal Weapon. You've probably seen it one time in a movie being parodied. The guy with the fedora, a trench coat, smoking a cigarette, hunting down a killer. Now, some people just pass off that genre as dated, misogynistic, cheesy crap. Other people who actually used their brain realized that it had some of the best stories ever told in fiction. And not just some of the best, some of the most influential. And that ties into Lethal Weapon, because Lethal Weapon was written by Shane Black. Now, Shane Black is one of my favorite writers, basically because he understands taking the 40s and 30s hard-boiled novels and putting them in the modern day. And I'm not a fan of modernizing stuff, but he does it in a way that works really well. Very similar to the absolute masterpiece that I could make 10 videos on, Dirty Harry. The entire franchise of Dirty Harry is one big homage to Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer. These characters that realize that the government's justice system does not work. Characters who become judge, jury, and executioner. And I believe that this idea was most realized in Mickey Spillane's novel, I the Jury. It's the first Mike Hammer novel, and if you're interested in any detective story, the roots of every single cop movie you've ever seen, then you have to read this novel, because not only is it a best-selling classic, but movies like Dirty Harry, Lethal Weapon, Beverly Hills Cop are all basically adaptations of this novel. But without further ado, let's get into Lethal Weapon and how it is not only one of the best movies of the 80s, but it's up there with Chinatown and Blade Runner for being an ultimate neo-noir. Now, the term neo-noir is thrown around a lot with crappy movies like John Wick and Drive. And none of those movies are noir. Lethal Weapon most definitely is, because the plot of the movie has a basis in detective novels. Because the guy Shane Black wrote a lot of movies and a lot of them have ties to noir. Apparently, Shane Black took inspiration from the Dirty Harry movies and detective novels to come up with this story. And the opening to this movie is super controversial and dark and just sets the tone for what the entire thing is going to be. The story opens up like a classic hard-boiled novel with a young dame that's been pulled into a life of crime and drugs. And I just have to mention, the visual aesthetic of this movie is insane. Along with another classic that I could make a video on, but I don't know if you want to see it, 1986's Cobra. These two movies paint a city that is ultra dark and gritty, mixing 80s neon and classic noir, creating a city that feels alive. You can tell LA is this deep, seedy underbelly of crime. But anyway, this girl decides to take a dive off of a building, and an aging veteran cop, Roger Murtaugh, investigates. And he realizes that she isn't just any girl, she's actually the daughter of his old war buddy. And this is when the movie just turns into a 10 out of 10 for me, because this plot is ripped directly from Mike Hammer's first novel. In Lethal Weapon, Murtaugh realizes that this girl didn't just do this herself, somebody actually poisoned her. When he reveals it to his old war buddy, the girl's father, through the excellent writing that beats most movies, we learn that the girl's father took a bullet for Murtaugh during the war. So now Murtaugh doesn't even have a choice. He has to get revenge. It's the same in Mike Hammer's first novel, where his friend, his old war buddy who took a bullet for him, gets killed. So therefore he has to get revenge. So already I can't help but love this movie. But then we get onto the character, which is probably one of the best in the 80s. Up there with John Rambo and Snake Plissken is Mel Gibson's ultra badass Martin Riggs. And when I say this guy is badass, I really do goddamned mean it.
When I was 19, I did a guy in Laos from 1,000 yards out, a rifle shot in high wind. Maybe 8 or even 10 guys in the world could have made that shot. It's the only thing I was ever good at.
Riggs is such a deep character that doesn't just equate to he was in the war and therefore he's a badass. Like every single new movie like John Wick, where they just tell you this guy has a dark past and then we're all supposed to have our minds blown, Lethal Weapon actually has good writing and creates a character that has a dark past. And not in a cheesy or edgy way, but in a way that was never done better. Riggs is an on-the-edge cop who literally breaks all the rules. He is the definition of hard-boiled. He's a kick-ass martial artist. He's an expert marksman.
Where the hell is he?
Damn it, it's Riggs.
Through the excellent script, once again, there's so many lines that don't even tell us much, but give us small details on what his character really is.
I see we've heard of each other. Yep. It'll almost be a shame when I nail you. Yeah, I ran into some of those Shadow Company pussies in Saigon in about 69.
A damaged veteran of war who became even more damaged when his beloved wife died. Mel Gibson truly puts in a brilliant performance. Screw the people who have a problem with him for something he said 10 years ago. Cry about it. And in the normal theatrical cut of the movie, Riggs is already a badass over the many scenes in the movie where he shows that he's cooler than most people who have ever walked Earth. I don't know how I missed it the first couple times I watched this movie, but Riggs ranks up a body count of like 25 guys or something just in a couple of scenes. But if you've watched Lethal Weapon before, or if you haven't seen it yet, I do recommend checking out the director's cut, which isn't really the director's cut. It actually brings in the elements of the much darker Shane Black script that were cut out to add in some comedy. Unfortunately enough, the comedy doesn't even ruin the movie. It actually works really well, and there's barely any of it in the movie. Unfortunately, the sequels went on to kind of tarnish the legacy. Lethal Weapon should have been left as this one new war classic. But yeah, if you're gonna watch this movie, check out that director's cut, because it adds in scenes that make the film much darker and develop the character of Riggs. And one of them, I can say without a doubt, I've watched a lot of 80s action movies, is literally one of the best ever made. It's in like the top 3 for me. I kind of have to be careful with my words, but basically Riggs is just driving along. He gets a call of a situation that is happening nearby in a school. You can kind of guess why this got cut out of the movie, because it is pretty dark. And in this scene, everybody's ducking down, waiting for the SWAT team to arrive to save them. And with no fear, in one of the most badass scenes ever, only to be matched by, I don't know, Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry, Riggs just walks out into the line of fire with a cigarette hanging from his mouth and blows the guy away. You could literally just watch this one scene and realize how good the movie is. If your mind isn't blown when you see Riggs in the multiple scenes in this movie doing crap like this, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Really, you can like movies like Superman and Fantastic Four, or you can like movies like Lethal Weapon. And once again, like I said, I'm not going to go through the movie scene by scene, but Murtaugh and Riggs get partnered together and have to track down the killer of this innocent girl. And what ensues is not only an iconic 80s action masterpiece, but also a new war mystery. And I don't know, maybe this video is all over the place, but this movie beats every single new movie any day. There's so much stuff in this movie that might get overlooked just because it's an 80s action movie. Screw the people that don't like 80s action movies. Predator, Rambo, Commando, Cobra are all masterpieces. And I don't mean in the pretentious prick way where you're talking about how good the acting is and how much people are crying on the ground. No, they're masterpieces in entertainment. And the thing is, not only is Lethal Weapon a masterpiece in entertainment, but it also does have great acting and cinematography. For example, in many scenes the lighting is absolutely insane, but after Murtaugh's daughter gets captured, we get this scene where out of the rain Riggs comes back from the dead and they both go back to Murtaugh's house. And instead of being lit like a normal scene, the stakes are raised and the tone gets much darker. A neon crimson fills the room as Murtaugh, for the first time in the story, has to trust Riggs. Because Riggs is the hard-boiled, on-the-edge detective that nobody trusts. Returning from the dead like a Grim Reaper, Riggs takes out these Shadow Company scumbags one by one. And not to mention the insane lighting and action. The score of the movie was done by Eric Clapton. Do I even have to say anything more? The entire movie is accompanied by jazzy noir and 80s guitar. The entire third act of this movie is just a powerhouse. I've watched a lot of schlocky Steven Seagal, Dolph Lundgren and Chuck Norris movies, but by God, Lethal Weapon takes itself seriously. It's not some over-the-top parody action movie. The third act of this movie consists of badass Riggs chasing down a killer through a rainy city. This is like something you'd see at the end of a classic hard-boiled book, but it's actually on screen. And there's a lot of great fights at the end of 80s movies, but if you wanted a display of 80s awesomeness, just look to the end fight of Lethal Weapon. With the rain beating down, Riggs fights with everything he has. I can't say certain words on YouTube, but Riggs for the entire movie has been really depressed and not really wanting to live. But even Murtaugh in this situation, as their bond grew over the movie, realizes that he can't step in and fight this fight for Riggs. So in this really awesome moment, Murtaugh tells all the cops to back off, and even he himself wants to intervene when Riggs is getting drowned in the mud and the grit. But Riggs doesn't let him, because this is a fight that he has to win for himself. This is the redemption of his character. And by God is it a redemption, because not only using jiu-jitsu does Riggs choke this guy out and win the fight, but bleeding out, stumbling away in the rain, we get the crescendo of the movie, one of the best moments in 80s cinema, where the final villain gets back up, tries to pull a gun, and Riggs and Murtaugh in the rain, in slow motion, spin around and give the son of a bitch what he deserves. Holy shit, what a movie. This movie is an absolute 10 out of 10, and if you haven't watched it, or if you overlooked it, then you need to watch it again. Filled with tropes from film noir, hard-boiled fiction, and 70s cop movies, this movie is everything I want. People have been commenting asking for more positive videos. Well, you're getting it right here. This movie is what movies should be. And not many people will tell you all the stuff I just told you. They'll just pass it off as another cheesy 80s action movie. And to be honest, I don't know if you want to see this. If you do, let me know, but I could make a full series debunking that myth. There is no such thing as cheesy homoerotic 80s action movies. Those people are all retarded. None of the Rambo movies are cheesy or schlocky. They're not only some of the best entertainment ever made, but have great messages about the government, veterans and war. It's the same with other ones like Predator and Lethal Weapon. People just think that they're throwaway 80s action movies, but in reality have really deep characters and tragic storytelling. Like in Predator, Dutch loses everybody. It's not funny, it's not schlocky, it's actually just plain tragic. And the same goes for Lethal Weapon, which is dark, tragic, and a genuinely amazing film. So if you like this different type of video, do let me know and maybe consider subscribing. And if you got a problem with anything I said, go complain to your boyfriend.
I'm still here, asshole! What do you only do, kids? Shut up!